Hi, and welcome to my channel where I make videos on meditation and spirituality. Today's video is on getting in touch with reality. It's kind of a big title, big ask, but I mean something simple by that. During the day in our lives, we are constantly projecting our thoughts, our ideas of how things should go, how things will go, what we think will happen. I don't know, what will happen tomorrow, what our plans are for next month, our 10-year plan. Not everybody's gone quite that far in their heads, but some people have. That can be practical, but often we are in sort of a filtered version of reality of what we think might happen. It can often cause a lot of anxiety, problems that could arise. We're living in, it has been said, and you can sort of see it, a matrix of thoughts, ideas, fantasies, preoccupations that may never really have anything to do with reality. So, of course, there are always possibilities for what could happen, but most of the things that we imagine could happen don't happen. And we can prepare for them if we think that, we can, I don't know, keep bad things from happening. But we also get really enmeshed in all these fantasies. And some of the fantasies are not bad. It's not always that we think something bad will happen. We might be hoping for something great, or we might just have an idea, a pretty neutral idea of how we think the day will unfold or some event will unfold. The thing is, in all of that, we constantly have experiences where the reality doesn't quite match up with what we think it is, right? We have this like cognitive dissonance between our experience in the present moment, what actually is happening, and the way that we think it should be happening or the way that we thought it would happen. This is a kind of a strange thing about being a human. It's a big statement, but that we have all these thoughts about our lives while our lives are actually happening. And the two can be related to each other, right? Obviously, we tend to have thoughts that are stemming from real situations that relate to real possibilities in our lives. Some of those can get pretty far-fetched and fantastical. You can start to get anxious about, I don't know, anything. You can start to get anxious about climate change can create all sorts of anxiety that is probably a very realistic concern, but it can look like it's tomorrow. I don't know. That could definitely be something that comes into my experience, like, oh wow, like what is this going to look like? And yet my day to day is what it is, and there's only so much I can do to change the outcome. So to live into that idea too much, it really is a fantasy for me. I mean, that doesn't practically apply to my day-to-day life today. So this is something that we're all living with on some level because we all are thinking humans. And this video is really about stepping out of that matrix of thoughts and ideas and getting it more in touch with that present moment experience, which is a really simple thing. When I say present moment experience, I really just mean like what's actually happening instead of what you think could happen. Oftentimes, we're so involved in the mind that we even paint over our actual experience with a mental layer. So maybe you wanted to have a great birthday party, an example, and the day of your birthday comes and you actually do have a great birthday party, but you're thinking about the birthday party in your head like, oh, this is just what I thought it would be, but this part isn't, and then this is off, but this is great. And you're so involved in your mind that there's like a double experience happening. On the one hand, you're experiencing the party that you planned. It's actually happening. And on the other hand, you have this like metacognitive experience of what the party is based on your thoughts about it. That really sort of takes you out of the moment, right? So wherever you are, whatever's going on, what is it to step back into that real experience, to prioritize what's actually happening? Noticing both of these realities, the actual experience and the mental layer of experience, because we're all probably living with both, right? Unless you're like a fully enlightened being, you're still having a mental projection onto your reality. And unless you're really far gone, having serious trouble and maybe dissociation and a lot of trauma and things like that, you're probably still also in contact with your real experience. So you're not fully in the mind, you're not fully in the self. There's this sort of double experience that we all have. And one way to step out of that mental filter more and more into the lived experience is to notice that discrepancy, to notice that you're living kind of in two versions of reality at once. One is a fantasy. The thoughts and everything are not what's actually happening. And to prioritize the real experience, to step into what's actually happening around me. What am I actually experiencing? Noticing that experience of the present moment at any time, of your real lived experience. And obviously thoughts still arise and they're still useful because you can plan for the future. You know that you need a ride after, I don't know, you go to a play and making stuff up, you go to a movie and you need a ride home. So you ask somebody, in advance to drive you. That's planning, that's a mental filter, but that's practical. You can do that more and more from a place of recognizing that that's not reality. It's just a contingency. It's just an idea. And always choosing to be more in the present moment so that your emotions and your experience, your inner experience is relating to what's around you, to what's happening, and not to the thoughts about what could happen, which will create endless anxiety and stress and things like that. So really, to start to get more into your present moment experience, just choose to value that more. Maybe recognize that there is this duality, that you're experiencing both the present moment in maybe a real lived way, and also this mental filter version of reality. And then choose, okay, yeah, obviously one of these is more real than the other, right? Obviously, what's actually happening in this moment is real. And what I think might happen is like a subjective kind of personal creation that can help me plan, but often just veers straight into fantasy. And then causes me to live emotionally all of these reactions and all of these things that never actually happen in the real world. So come back to that real lived experience each time you notice this and see sort of if there's some peace and fluidity that arises from just connecting to the reality of the present moment and letting the thoughts be sort of a secondary thing on the side.